Americans are falling behind on their credit cards and car loans as defaults have just hit a 10-year high. Check this out, guys.
From the gas pump to the grocery aisle, inflation continues to take a big bite out of family budgets. In July, personal expenditures jumped another 3.3% from a year ago. We're paying more for pharmaceuticals, recreation, groceries, and clothing. And more Americans are choosing to charge it, though with credit card interest rates at a record 20.6%, many can't pay the bills. And after spending heavily during the pandemic, more than 3.5% of car loan and credit cards are now delinquent.
My dad always said, when I actually have money, never take out a loan for a car. And if you can't pay cash for a car, then you can't afford the car. What do you guys think? But really, the major headline here is that we're seeing credit card and car loan defaults reach financial crisis levels. This is cause for concern. And this is only going to get worse as interest rates continue to rise and the moratorium on student loans expire. Low and middle income earners have been especially hit hard by soaring prices on pretty much everything from rent, groceries, and new and used cars, despite the Federal Reserve's attempt to tamp down stubbornly high inflation. But this year, credit card delinquencies, they have just hit 3.8%, while 3.6% have defaulted on their car loans. And these are the highest numbers for both of these in more than 10 years. I mean, really, households are just making very tough decisions, whether to pay their credit card bills, their rent, or buy groceries. But from what I'm hearing, people are starting to open new lines of credit just to keep up with paying off their debts. And with the average interest rate hitting a record 20.6%, we're not sure how long this is going to last. There are 70 million more credit card accounts that are open now than before the pandemic in 2019, and credit card debt surpassed $1 trillion for the first time ever. And remember, guys, the interest rates on credit cards, they could soar even higher as the Federal Reserve is considering another rate hike before the year ends, just to bring inflation down to the target rate of 2% from its current at 3.5%. Now, aside from high rents and the grocery prices that we're facing right now, pretty soon, people are going to end up needing to start making student loan payments next month after their debts have been paused for more than 3 years? Now, of course, this is what the Federal Reserve is calling their soft landing. Now, supposedly, they raise rates to make it more difficult to make purchases, but the holiday season's coming. So industry experts are also concerned that consumers will rack up even more debt on top of their rising energy bills, particularly as the cold weather kicks in and the cost of heating home ratchets up. Retailers including Macy's, Kohl's, and Nordstrom's have also called out their rising delinquency rates among their customers who have private label store cards. Macy's acknowledged that its store card delinquency rates have been rising faster than planned. Other retailers like Foot Locker, they've pretty much blamed disappointing financial results on customer softness. So when you think about loan defaults or delinquency with credit cards, it makes a lot of people feel just a little bit nervous or unhappy. And it just goes to show how much some consumers are under pressure. And it's one of the cracks that's starting to appear in our consumer economy. Me, I'm thinking about those car loan delinquencies that could soon mean late payments on their car insurance as well. The thing that really worries me is the odds of cars not being repaired but still on the road and being dangerous. So yeah, stay safe out there, you guys. I definitely recommend subscribing to the channel and make sure to turn on that notification bell. So the Fed's meeting coming up, and so is the resumption of student loan payments. You definitely do not want to miss out on any of these next updates. And hey, if you like the content and you appreciate the information that I'm sharing with you guys, make sure to show your support by lighting up the like button. Appreciate you guys a bunch for that. So Wall Street has bet big on used car loans for years. Now, a crisis may be looming as the used car market hot streak may be ending. Borrowers are just struggling to make payments, and regulators say some auto lenders are setting up consumers to fail. You see, Wall Street could always bank on used cars. In fact, for years, investors bought bonds backed by auto loans because they could always be relied on for those sweet, sweet returns, regardless of shaky markets and whatever downturns were in the economy. But now, for the first time in decades, that winning streak appears to be coming to an end, with a half a dozen prominent used car auto lenders facing either an avalanche of failed loans or facing growing regulatory scrutiny. Right now, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they're suing 2 of those lenders over potentially predatory practices. Now, overall, this could mean a pretty big blow to a key pillar of the U.S. economy. So the first warning sign came in late February when a company called American Car Center, which offered loans to consumers with troubled credit histories, they just pretty much upped and left, closed its 40 dealerships across the South, and filed for bankruptcy protection. Then later in April, another lender called US Auto Sales also collapsed, shuttering dozens of dealerships in several states. Before long, S&P Global Ratings put American Car Center and two other major subprime auto lenders, Exeter Finance and United Auto Credit, on watch for potential rating downgrade. But really, it's these auto loan delinquencies that's, pardon the pun, it's really driving the problem. Now today, the number of subprime borrowers who are behind on their auto loans and their loan payments by 60 days or more is the highest that it's been ever since at least 2017. Defaults are climbing too. And so basically what we're seeing here, where the company's closures and the Wall Street's own negative forecast, it's what could very well be at the end of a hot 3-year run in the used auto sector, which was partly caused by supply chain problems. Now, with a shortage of new cars, consumers turned to used ones. Plus, spending was fueled by pandemic-era federal aid, which helped American households cover their bills, including monthly car payments. Lenders then used that steady revenue to fund a massive increase in new loans, particularly to people with low or even non-existent credit scores. As a result, since 2020, the nation's auto loan balance jumped 28%, and it now totals more than $1.5 trillion, making it the fastest growing type of consumer debt in the United States. Auto bonds increased in kind as lenders packaged those loans together and they sold them as securities on Wall Street. Securities where ratings agencies labeled them as largely safe investments. Now, according to Bloomberg News, lenders sold bonds that were containing $76 billion in subprime loans in 2021 and in 2022. Now, all of this was leaning hard on the disbelief, or should I say fantasy, that the vast majority of borrowers would continue to make their monthly payments. Kind of sounds like what happened in '08 with subprime borrowers. And we all know how that went, right? So analysts pointed out how investors are always thinking that they're protected, and the lenders didn't seem like there was any concern either. So if we go ahead and fast forward to things now, as you guys all know, economic conditions have changed, pandemic aid has ended, and of course the Federal Reserve has aggressively increased interest rates to combat inflation, meaning more and more people are struggling to pay their expensive loans. Regulators have also been looking at the business practices of subprime lenders, including the USASF Servicing, which is an affiliate for the U.S. Auto Sales. Now, in a federal lawsuit, the Consumer Protection Financial Bureau accuses the company of a host of illegal practices, like double billing for insurance products and misapplying other payments, costing borrowers millions of dollars, just straight up taking advantage of people with subprime credit. So I don't even mess with those buy here, pay here lots. But anyway, so the agency says USASF also wrongly disabled borrowers' vehicles more than 7,000 times using kill switches, basically devices that prevent the engine from starting. Regulators are also taking legal action against a company known as the Credit Acceptance Corporation, which aggressively markets itself as an alternative for consumers with limited credit options, and it touts its loans as a way for consumers to build their credit and to gain financial freedom. But it's the exact opposite in many cases. You see, the problem is they are allegedly often setting customers up to fail. Oh, God's going to make them pay for that one. Now, unlike a traditional lender, which assesses whether a borrower can repay a loan, CAC or CAC assumes from the offset that many of its customers will in fact default. Authorities accuse the company of charging interest rates that are so high that they actually violate New York law, as well as inducing dealers to inflate prices. Now, as a result, the median selling price for CAC or CAC customers nationwide is over 77% greater than the wholesale value of the vehicles. Now, those prices, they also exceed standard retail prices by a large margin, and that's already including major dealer markups. What they do for profit: collect a certain amount for monthly payments and then sell the repossessed cars when people can't keep up. The lawsuit argues that the borrowers and bond investors who consider the loans safe investments, they're both victims of the alleged scheme. In court, CAC or CAC denied the regulators' accusations. Now, they're saying that they're not directly involved in the transactions between the dealers and the car buyers, and they work exclusively with sellers to fund the loans. Now, depending on the outcome, the CAC litigation could alter the ways used auto lenders operate or reinforce businesses as usual. They say that the case is going to foretell exactly how concerned lenders, sponsors, servicers, and investors will be about their practices. So yeah, a lot of folks are watching this one. And speaking of, another headline about the auto industry is the potential United Auto Workers strike. A buddy of mine, he works for his parents who run a body shop. They've been talking a lot about the UAW strike and how it's going to heavily affect their ability to get parts, meaning they're not going to make much money, either if ever the strike does happen. So yeah, a lot of people are going to get affected by this UAW strike. Now, if there is a strike, especially if it drags on, it's not just the workers that are at the factories who are going to feel the heat. The ripple effect will hit suppliers and other businesses in the auto manufacturing towns. Now, as the car factories start to shut down, they won't be ordering any more parts. And many of these auto parts suppliers are still recovering from the beatdown that they took during the C-19 pandemic. So, another disruption? They might not survive it. Some experts even say that they haven't gotten back on their financial feet to weather even another 1 to 3 month shutdown. Striking workers, instead of their regular paychecks, they would have to make do with $500 a week, which is basically the strike pay provided by the union. That will definitely make them tighten their wallets. That means local businesses like restaurants, bars, and shops are also going to be feeling the pinch. Now, they're likely going to see drops in their customers as spending slows down. Plus, if UAW-produced vehicles become scarce, workers at auto dealerships will lose out on their commissions from selling those cars. Tough times for everybody. So if the UAW does decide to strike against all three U.S. automakers, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, which makes Dodge and I forget some other vehicles, this could very well be a historic first that could be devastating for the U.S. auto industry, and it would likely lead to higher prices on car lots. Union President Shawn Fain said a strike would initially be at a limited number of targeted plant locations, but it could easily move to other sites, which of course would impact even more lines. Now, typically, the final months of the year can be a good time to find deals, with the model year sell down and Black Friday events. But what if automakers walk off the assembly line? During the strike back in 2019 against General Motors that lasted 40 days, GM did see an impact on its truck line. Now, if a strike happens this fall, experts say end of the year car buyers could look beyond the big three. So that's when the automakers start to lose out, because customers will go to these other brands that actually have cars. And once you do that, that is a big danger because they may never come back. I mean, consumers are already dealing with low inventory, high prices, and of course, the highest interest rates for new vehicle loans in 15 years. I mean, we've seen interest rates go up to 7.4% on average in August. It hasn't been this way since 2008. Since the Great Recession. That's really making prices and payments go up really high and just making really new cars unaffordable to consumers. Monthly payments also hit an all-time high last month, $738 on average for a new vehicle. Wow, right? Can you guys believe that? The experts' advice for car buyers? Shop around for the best auto loan, whether it be at your bank, a credit union, or at the automakers' financing companies. Be open-minded about what to buy, researching new and used options as well as smaller cars and sedans. Don't limit your search to a local market, especially if you're considering certified pre-owned cars. See how much your car is worth if you're considering reselling it or trading it in. You may be surprised as to how much you get for it. Word on the street is that Edmunds is seeing demand right now in the market on the lower end, less expensive vehicles like compact cars, mid-sized cars, or compact SUVs. Now, that is a change from the high demand for large SUVs and full-size trucks that we had been seeing. Probably higher interest rates are fueling that, causing people to downsize in their decisions. So yeah, knowing your market means being better equipped to make those tough financial decisions in this economy. I mean, am I right, guys? If you made it this far in the video, definitely hit the like button for the video. Also consider subscribing to the channel. And if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below.